My name is Sarah Chen, I am 27 years old, and tomorrow I will be sitting across from my brother David at a real estate attorney's office, writing him a check for $240,000 to save his dream home purchase. The same brother who 6 months ago laughed so hard at my little craft business that he nearly choked on his wine at our family dinner. The same family who thought my online jewelry venture was a cute hobby that would never amount to anything serious. Tomorrow, when that attorney asks where the funds are coming from and I hand over the wire transfer confirmation from my business account, the silence in that room will rewrite every assumption they have ever made about my choices, my potential, and my understanding of what it truly means to build something valuable. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Growing up in suburban Minneapolis, Minnesota, I learned early that family dynamics often reflect broader societal expectations about success, ambition, and the appropriate paths for achieving financial security. My parents, Margaret and Robert Chen, had immigrated from Taiwan in the early 1980s with advanced engineering degrees and an unshakable belief that professional stability came through traditional career paths. My father worked as a mechanical engineer for a Fortune 500 manufacturing company, while my mother held a senior position in quality assurance for a medical device manufacturer. Their approach to career development emphasized education, corporate advancement, and long-term employment with established organizations. The Chen family dinner table was where career aspirations were discussed, evaluated, and either endorsed or gently redirected toward more practical alternatives. My older brother David followed the expected trajectory perfectly. He earned a business degree from the University of Minnesota, secured a position as a financial analyst at a regional investment firm, and steadily advanced through the ranks to become a portfolio manager specializing in municipal bonds. His career progression was methodical, predictable, and exactly what our parents had envisioned when they invested in American education for their children. My path diverged from family expectations during my sophomore year at Minnesota State University, where I was pursuing a degree in marketing with the intention of entering corporate communications. While my academic performance was strong, I found myself increasingly drawn to creative expression and the intersection of art with business strategy. This interest manifested initially through a photography course that I enrolled in to fulfill an arts requirement. The course introduced me to visual composition, color theory, and the technical aspects of image creation, but more importantly, it revealed a passion for aesthetic design that had been dormant throughout my childhood focus on academic achievement. Photography led to jewelry making through an unexpected sequence of events that would ultimately reshape my understanding of business, creativity, and personal fulfillment. During a weekend visit to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, I encountered an exhibition featuring contemporary jewelry designers who combined traditional metalworking techniques with modern aesthetic sensibilities. The pieces displayed were not conventional jewelry in the mass market sense, but rather wearable art that expressed individual creativity while demonstrating exceptional craftsmanship and attention to detail. The exhibition included a workshop component where visitors could observe master jewelers demonstrating techniques for wire wrapping, stone setting, and metal forming. I spent the entire afternoon watching these artisans transform raw materials into beautiful, functional objects. Through the application of skill, patience, and creative vision. The process fascinated me not only for its artistic merits but also for its entrepreneurial possibilities. These creators were building sustainable businesses around their artistic talents, reaching customers who valued unique, handcrafted items over mass-produced alternatives. That evening, I researched jewelry making extensively, learning about required tools, materials, techniques, and the various approaches for developing skills in this craft. I discovered that entry-level jewelry making was accessible to beginners, requiring modest initial investment in basic tools and supplies. More importantly, I learned that successful jewelry businesses could be built gradually, starting with simple designs and expanding complexity as skills and customer base developed. My first jewelry making kit cost $67 and included basic wire, pliers, findings, and a selection of semi-precious stones. I set up a workspace in the corner of my apartment bedroom, using a small desk lamp for illumination and a towel to prevent small components from rolling onto the floor. The initial learning curve was steep and occasionally frustrating. My first attempts at wire wrapping produced uneven, amateur-looking pieces that bore little resemblance to the sophisticated designs I had observed at the museum workshop. However, persistence and systematic practice gradually improved my technical skills and design capabilities. I spent hours each evening after completing university coursework, working with different wire gauges, experimenting with stone combinations, and developing techniques for creating consistent, professional quality pieces. YouTube tutorials, online forums, and instructional books provided guidance for advancing beyond basic techniques toward more sophisticated design approaches. After 3 months of intensive practice, I had created a collection of approximately 30 pieces that met my standards for quality and aesthetic appeal. These included wire-wrapped pendant necklaces, beaded bracelets, and simple earring designs that demonstrated competent craftsmanship and cohesive design sensibility. More importantly, I had developed confidence in my ability to create jewelry that other people might find attractive and worth purchasing. The transition from hobbyist to business owner began when my roommate, Jessica Martinez, asked if I could create a custom necklace for her sister's wedding. Jessica had observed my jewelry making activities and was impressed by the quality and uniqueness of my designs. Her sister wanted something special that would complement her wedding dress while reflecting her personal style preferences. This request represented my first opportunity to create jewelry for a paying customer with specific requirements and quality expectations. The custom wedding necklace project required 2 weeks of planning, material sourcing, and careful execution. I worked closely with the bride to understand her vision, created preliminary sketches, and produced a prototype for approval before completing the final piece. The finished necklace featured hand-wrapped silver wire, freshwater pearls, and Swarovski crystals arranged in a design that was elegant, sophisticated, and perfectly suited to the bride's specifications. The bride was delighted with the finished piece, and her wedding photos featuring the necklace generated numerous inquiries from friends and family members who wanted to know where they could purchase similar jewelry. This response validated my belief that there was market demand for handcrafted, custom jewelry that offered unique design and personal attention that mass-market retailers could not provide. Based on this initial success, I decided to formalize my jewelry-making activities as a legitimate business venture. I registered Luminous Designs by Sarah as a limited liability company, opened a dedicated business bank account, and began maintaining detailed financial records for income and expenses. I also created a basic website featuring photographs of my jewelry collection and contact information for custom orders. My family's reaction to this business development was politely skeptical. During a Sunday dinner gathering where I announced my intention to pursue jewelry making as a serious entrepreneurial venture, the response was a mixture of encouragement and concern about my priorities and long-term planning. My mother expressed appreciation for my creativity while suggesting that jewelry making might be better pursued as a relaxing hobby rather than a primary career focus. My father wondered whether the time invested in jewelry making might be better utilized for internship opportunities that would enhance my marketing degree credentials. David's response was the most dismissive and would prove to be ironically prophetic. He acknowledged that my jewelry pieces were attractive but questioned whether there was sufficient market demand to generate meaningful income. He suggested that small-scale crafting businesses rarely achieved significant financial success and that my energy might be better directed toward securing a position with an established marketing agency after graduation. His tone was not intentionally cruel, but it reflected a fundamental skepticism about non-traditional career paths and the viability of creative entrepreneurship. Despite family reservations, I committed to developing Luminous Designs systematically and strategically. I researched successful jewelry businesses, analyzed pricing strategies, and studied marketing approaches that effectively reached target customers. I also enrolled in additional courses related to small business management, e-commerce, and digital marketing to complement my creative skills with essential business knowledge. The initial months of business operation were challenging but encouraging. Orders arrived sporadically through word-of-mouth referrals and my basic website. Each sale required significant time investment for design consultation, material sourcing, creation, and customer communication. Profit margins were modest after accounting for materials costs and the hourly value of time invested. However, customer satisfaction was consistently high, and repeat orders indicated that I was creating products that provided genuine value to purchasers. During my senior year of university, I made a strategic decision that surprised my family and academic advisors. Rather than pursuing immediate full-time employment after graduation, I chose to dedicate 1 year to intensive development of Luminous Designs. This decision required careful financial planning and acceptance of delayed entry into traditional career paths. I moved back to my parents' house to minimize living expenses, took a part-time position at a local coffee shop to cover basic personal costs, and dedicated all remaining time and energy to business development. My family supported this decision reluctantly, viewing it as a temporary exploration phase that would ultimately lead to more conventional career choices. The arrangement included an understanding that if the business did not achieve specific financial milestones within 12 months, I would transition to full-time employment in my field of study. This timeline created pressure but also provided clear accountability for measuring progress and making objective decisions about the venture's viability. The 12-month intensive development period transformed Luminous Designs from a small-scale hobby business into a legitimate entrepreneurial venture with growth potential. I systematically expanded my product line, improved my technical skills, developed efficient production processes, and implemented professional marketing strategies. Sales increased steadily, customer base expanded beyond local referrals to include online orders from across the United States, and profit margins improved through experience-based efficiency gains and strategic supplier relationships. More importantly, I discovered that jewelry making satisfied intellectual and creative needs that traditional employment might not have addressed. The combination of artistic expression, technical problem-solving, customer interaction, and business strategy provided a level of professional fulfillment that exceeded my expectations. Each custom piece represented a unique challenge that required creativity, skill, and attention to detail. Building relationships with customers who valued handcrafted, personalized jewelry created meaning and purpose that extended beyond financial considerations. By the end of the 12-month development period, Luminous Designs was generating monthly revenue that exceeded my previous part-time employment income, with growth trends indicating continued expansion potential. Customer testimonials and repeat orders demonstrated market validation, and the business had achieved financial sustainability while building a foundation for future growth. However, family perceptions of the venture remained skeptical, with continued suggestions that jewelry making was ultimately a transitional activity rather than a legitimate long-term career path. The first major family dinner where my business achievements became a topic of discussion occurred during Thanksgiving of my second year of operation. By this time, Luminous Designs was generating consistent monthly revenue of approximately $8,000, with peak months during wedding season and holiday periods reaching $12,000. I had developed relationships with several boutique retailers who carried my pieces, established a robust online presence through social media and e-commerce platforms, and built a waiting list of customers seeking custom designs. Despite these objective indicators of business success, family reaction remained mixed. My parents acknowledged my entrepreneurial accomplishments while continuing to express concern about long-term security and growth potential. David's response was more openly dismissive, suggesting that small-scale jewelry sales could never provide the financial stability and professional advancement opportunities available through corporate employment. He compared my monthly business revenue unfavorably to his annual salary and benefits package, implying that my entrepreneurial efforts represented a temporary phase rather than a sustainable career foundation. The conversation was politely contentious, with David expressing skepticism about the scalability of handcrafted businesses and questioning whether my current success could be maintained over time. He suggested that market saturation, economic downturns, or changes in consumer preferences could quickly undermine businesses dependent on discretionary spending for luxury items. His analysis was not entirely incorrect, but it reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of the business model I had developed and the market dynamics that supported sustainable growth in the handcrafted jewelry sector. I defended my business choices calmly but firmly, explaining the strategic foundation I had built and the growth opportunities one was pursuing. However, the family dynamic made it clear that my entrepreneurial path was viewed as unconventional and potentially risky, compared to the security and predictability of traditional employment. This perception would persist for several months, creating an undercurrent of tension during family gatherings and informal conversations about career development and financial planning. The foundation had been established for what would become a dramatic reversal of these family perceptions. My systematic approach to business development, commitment to quality and customer service, and strategic vision for growth were creating opportunities and capabilities that my family did not yet recognize or understand. The business success that seemed modest or temporary to outside observers was actually building towards something much more significant, with implications that would extend far beyond my individual career satisfaction and financial security. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The quiet confidence I maintained during family discussions about my business choices reflected not stubbornness or unrealistic optimism, but rather deep understanding of what I was building and where it was leading. The underestimation I encountered from family members was not discouraging but rather motivating, providing additional incentive to demonstrate through results rather than arguments that unconventional paths could lead to extraordinary outcomes. As winter approached during my second year of business operation, I was already planning the next phase of growth that would transform Luminous Designs from a successful small business into something much more substantial. The foundation of skills, relationships, and market understanding that I had built would soon support expansion into wholesale operations, strategic partnerships, and market opportunities that would fundamentally change the scale and impact of my entrepreneurial venture. The stage was set for a demonstration of entrepreneurial success that would challenge every assumption my family had made about traditional career paths, financial security, and the relationship between risk and reward in modern business environments. The woman they viewed as pursuing a charming but ultimately limited craft business was actually building something that would soon provide financial capabilities they had never imagined possible from handmade jewelry sales. The transformation was about to begin, and it would start with a phone call from David that would change everything. The second year of Luminous Designs marked a period of exponential growth that fundamentally transformed both the scale of operations and my understanding of entrepreneurial potential. What had begun as a modest jewelry-making venture evolved into a sophisticated business enterprise with multiple revenue streams, strategic partnerships, and market expansion opportunities that exceeded my initial projections. However, this success occurred largely outside the awareness of my family, who continued to view my business activities through the lens of their original assumptions about craft-based entrepreneurship. The transformation began with a strategic decision to expand beyond individual custom orders toward wholesale operations that could leverage my design capabilities and production efficiency. I had observed that many of my most successful pieces generated multiple requests for similar designs, indicating market demand for specific aesthetic approaches and style categories. Rather than continuing to fulfill each request as a unique custom order, I began developing signature collections that could be produced in limited quantities and distributed through retail partners. The first signature collection, titled Ethereal Elements, featured 12 distinct designs that incorporated my most popular wire wrapping techniques with carefully curated gemstone selections. Each piece in the collection maintained the handcrafted quality that distinguished my work while allowing for streamlined production processes that improved efficiency and profitability. The collection included necklaces, earrings, and bracelets that could be coordinated as sets or purchased individually, providing customers with flexibility while encouraging multiple item purchases. Developing the wholesale business model required substantial investment in materials, production time, and marketing materials. I created professional product catalogs with high-quality photographs, detailed specifications, and pricing information suitable for retail partner presentation. I also developed point-of-sale materials including product information cards, brand story summaries, and care instruction guidelines that would help retail partners effectively present my jewelry to their customers. The challenge of identifying appropriate retail partners led me to research boutique stores, art galleries, and specialty retailers throughout the Midwest that catered to customers seeking unique, handcrafted jewelry. I developed a systematic approach for contacting potential partners, including personalized outreach letters, product samples, and detailed information about my design philosophy and production capabilities. This process required considerable time and persistence, as most established retailers receive numerous solicitations from aspiring jewelry designers and maintain selective standards for new vendor partnerships. My breakthrough in wholesale distribution came through an unexpected connection at a Minneapolis art fair where I was displaying my jewelry at a small vendor booth. Among the visitors to my booth was Catherine Morrison, the owner of Artisan Collections, a chain of 3 upscale boutiques in Minneapolis, Chicago, and Milwaukee that specialized in contemporary handcrafted items including jewelry, pottery, and textile arts. Catherine was immediately impressed by the quality and uniqueness of my designs, particularly the technical precision of my wire wrapping work and the sophisticated color combinations I achieved through strategic gemstone selection. Catherine invited me to submit a formal wholesale proposal for potential inclusion in her stores. This opportunity represented a significant advancement in business scale, as Artisan Collections maintained an established customer base of affluent buyers who regularly purchased high-quality handcrafted jewelry. Success with this retail partner could provide both immediate revenue growth and credibility that would facilitate relationships with additional wholesale accounts. The wholesale proposal development process required several weeks of intensive preparation. I needed to establish wholesale pricing that maintained attractive profit margins while providing sufficient markup opportunity for retail partners. I also needed to commit to production quantities and delivery schedules that exceeded my previous individual order fulfillment experience. Most importantly, I needed to demonstrate business professionalism and reliability that would justify Catherine's confidence in featuring my jewelry in her established retail environment. The final proposal included a comprehensive product line featuring 36 distinct designs across multiple price points, professional photography showcasing each piece, detailed production timelines, and flexible ordering terms that accommodated seasonal demand variations. I also included customer testimonials, media coverage from local arts publications, and documentation of my design awards and exhibition participation that established credibility within the handcrafted jewelry community. Catherine accepted my wholesale proposal with an initial order worth $12,000, representing the largest single purchase in my business history. The order included pieces from 3 different collections, with delivery requirements spread across 6 weeks to accommodate her store's inventory management and seasonal promotional schedules. This contract validated my belief that systematic business development could create opportunities for substantial growth beyond individual customer sales. Fulfilling the Artisan Collections order required significant expansion of my production capabilities and workspace organization. I converted my parents' basement into a dedicated jewelry workshop, installing professional lighting, ventilation, and storage systems that could support increased production volume while maintaining quality standards. I also invested in additional tools and equipment that improved efficiency and enabled more sophisticated techniques, including a small kiln for metal annealing and a professional polishing system for finishing work. The production process for the wholesale order taught me valuable lessons about workflow optimization, quality control, and time management that would prove essential for future business growth. I developed systematic approaches for materials preparation, production scheduling, and quality inspection that ensured consistent results while minimizing waste and rework. I also established inventory management systems that tracked raw materials, work-in-progress items, and finished goods to support accurate delivery commitments and financial planning. The success of the Artisan Collections partnership led to additional wholesale opportunities as Catherine recommended my work to other retailers in her network. Within 6 months, I had established wholesale relationships with 8 boutique stores across 5 states, generating monthly wholesale revenue that consistently exceeded $15,000. This growth required continuous refinement of production processes and careful management of working capital to maintain adequate materials inventory while fulfilling delivery commitments. The expansion into wholesale operations also necessitated development of business systems and processes that could support larger-scale operations. I implemented customer relationship management software to track orders, communications, and payment schedules. I established relationships with multiple suppliers to ensure reliable access to materials at competitive prices. I also began working with a professional accountant to ensure proper financial record keeping and tax compliance as business revenue and complexity increased. Despite these objective indicators of substantial business success, my family's perception of Luminous Designs remained fundamentally unchanged. The monthly revenue figures I occasionally mentioned during family conversations were received with polite acknowledgement but limited understanding of their significance or sustainability. My parents continued to express concern about long-term career security and suggested that I consider transitioning to traditional employment once I had satisfied my entrepreneurial curiosity. David's skepticism became more pronounced as my business success became increasingly difficult to dismiss as temporary or insignificant. During a family barbecue in late summer, he questioned the sustainability of handcrafted jewelry sales in an increasingly digital economy. He suggested that my current success might be attributable to temporary market trends that could reverse quickly, leaving me without marketable skills for conventional employment. His analysis reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of the business foundation I had built and the transferable skills I had developed through entrepreneurial experience. The conversation grew more contentious when David compared my business revenue to his own career advancement and compensation package. He had recently received a promotion to senior portfolio manager with a substantial salary increase and enhanced benefits. He suggested that his career trajectory provided superior financial security and professional development opportunities compared to the uncertainty and limitations of small business ownership. His tone conveyed genuine concern for my long-term welfare, but also reflected assumptions about entrepreneurial risk and traditional career advantages that I found frustrating and short-sighted. I responded to David's concerns by explaining the strategic foundation I had built for Luminous Designs and the growth opportunities one was pursuing. I described the wholesale partnerships I had developed, the production capabilities I had established, and the market expansion potential I had identified through systematic research and testing. However, my explanations were received with polite skepticism and suggestions that I was overestimating the scalability and sustainability of handcrafted businesses in competitive retail environments. The fundamental disconnect between my family's perception and my business reality became a source of ongoing tension that influenced my approach to sharing information about achievements and challenges. I began to minimize discussions of business activities during family gatherings, focusing instead on topics that generated less controversy and skepticism. This approach reduced immediate conflict but also meant that my family remained largely unaware of the magnitude and sophistication of what I was building. The third year of business operation marked another significant expansion phase as I began exploring opportunities beyond traditional jewelry sales into related product categories and service offerings. Customer feedback and market research indicated demand for custom engagement rings and wedding jewelry that could provide higher profit margins while leveraging my design capabilities and metalworking skills. I also identified opportunities for jewelry design consulting and custom work for other artisans seeking to develop their own product lines. The engagement ring specialization required substantial investment in additional skills development and equipment acquisition. I enrolled in advanced metalworking courses at a local community college, learning techniques for stone setting, ring sizing, and precious metal fabrication that extended beyond my existing wireworking expertise. I also established relationships with certified gemstone suppliers who could provide diamonds and precious stones that met the quality standards expected for engagement and wedding jewelry. The first custom engagement ring commission came through a referral from one of my wholesale retail partners. The client was seeking a unique design that reflected his fiancé's personality and style preferences while incorporating a family heirloom diamond in a contemporary setting. The project required extensive consultation, design development, and precise execution to meet the emotional significance and quality expectations associated with engagement jewelry. The engagement ring project took 3 weeks from initial consultation to final delivery, involving multiple design iterations, prototype development, and careful attention to sizing and finishing details. The final piece exceeded the client's expectations and resulted in referrals for additional custom engagement work. More importantly, the project demonstrated my capability to execute complex, high-value jewelry projects that commanded premium pricing while delivering exceptional customer satisfaction. Word-of-mouth referrals from engagement ring clients generated a steady stream of wedding jewelry commissions that became an increasingly important component of business revenue. Wedding jewelry projects typically involved multiple pieces including engagement rings, wedding bands, and complementary jewelry for wedding parties. These comprehensive projects provided opportunities for substantial revenue generation while building long-term relationships with clients who often became repeat customers for anniversary gifts and other special occasion jewelry. The wedding jewelry specialization also opened opportunities for partnerships with wedding planners, photographers, and venue operators who could provide referrals in exchange for preferred vendor status and reciprocal marketing support. I developed professional marketing materials specifically targeted to wedding industry professionals, including portfolio presentations showcasing my wedding jewelry work and testimonials from satisfied couples. By the end of the third year, Luminous Designs was generating annual revenue approaching $200,000 through a diversified mix of wholesale accounts, custom individual orders, and specialized wedding jewelry projects. The business had achieved profitability levels that exceeded many traditional employment opportunities while providing creative fulfillment and entrepreneurial independence that aligned with my personal values and professional aspirations. However, family perceptions of my business activities remained skeptical and occasionally dismissive. During a holiday dinner conversation, my father suggested that I consider pursuing an MBA to develop credentials that would facilitate transition to corporate marketing positions should my jewelry business prove unsustainable. My mother expressed appreciation for my entrepreneurial achievements while questioning whether handcrafted businesses could provide adequate retirement savings and healthcare benefits compared to traditional employment packages. David's response to my business success became increasingly defensive as the financial gap between his traditional career and my entrepreneurial venture narrowed and eventually reversed. He continued to emphasize the security and predictability advantages of corporate employment while questioning the sustainability and scalability of creative businesses in competitive market environments. His skepticism was reinforced by his professional experience in financial analysis, where he regularly evaluated business models and investment opportunities according to conventional risk and return metrics. The tension between demonstrated business success and persistent family skepticism created an unusual dynamic where my achievements were simultaneously acknowledged and minimized. My parents were proud of my entrepreneurial initiative and creative abilities while remaining concerned about long-term career security. David recognized my business revenue but questioned its sustainability and growth potential compared to traditional career advancement trajectories. This skepticism was particularly pronounced regarding my decision to reinvest business profits into growth initiatives rather than maintaining larger cash reserves or transitioning to conventional investment strategies. I was systematically expanding production capabilities, developing new product lines, and building market presence that required continuous capital investment and working capital management. My family interpreted this reinvestment strategy as evidence of business instability rather than growth management, reflecting different perspectives on entrepreneurial development and financial planning. The stage was being set for a dramatic demonstration of the business foundation I had built and the financial capabilities that my systematic growth strategy had created. My family's skepticism about jewelry business sustainability and scalability would soon be tested by circumstances that revealed the true strength and value of what I had constructed over 3 years of intensive development and strategic planning. The business success that seemed uncertain or temporary to my family was actually approaching a level of sophistication and financial capacity that would enable me to provide assistance during crisis situations that traditional employment income could not address. The quiet confidence I maintained during family discussions about career choices and financial planning reflected not stubbornness or unrealistic optimism, but rather accurate understanding of what I had built and the opportunities it was creating for both personal achievement and family support when circumstances required extraordinary financial capability. The next phase of this journey would transform family perceptions permanently as external circumstances created an opportunity to demonstrate the practical value and genuine security that entrepreneurial success could provide during times of urgent need. The 4th year of Luminous Design's operation began with unprecedented expansion opportunities that would establish the business as a significant player in the regional handcrafted jewelry market. However, this period of professional growth coincided with mounting family tensions and an unexpected crisis that would fundamentally alter the dynamics between traditional career security and entrepreneurial achievement. The convergence of these circumstances created a defining moment that transformed years of quiet persistence into dramatic validation of strategic business development and financial planning. The expansion opportunities emerged through my participation in the American Craft Council's annual trade show in Chicago, where I had secured a booth to showcase my latest collections to wholesale buyers from across the Midwest. This represented my first major investment in national trade show participation, requiring significant financial commitment for booth rental, display materials, transportation, and promotional expenses. The decision to participate reflected my confidence in the business foundation I had built and my strategic vision for scaling operations beyond regional markets. The trade show preparation required months of intensive planning and production work. I developed a comprehensive display that showcased the full range of my design capabilities, from signature wire-wrapped pieces to sophisticated engagement rings and custom wedding sets. The booth design emphasized the handcrafted quality and artistic integrity that differentiated my work from mass-produced jewelry while demonstrating the professional standards and production consistency that wholesale buyers required for successful retail partnerships. The investment in trade show participation proved transformative for business development. During the 3-day event, I secured wholesale agreements with 12 new retail partners spanning 7 states, including 3 high-end galleries in major metropolitan markets. The total value of orders placed during the show exceeded $45,000, representing the largest single period of sales activity in my business history. More importantly, the quality and sophistication of the buyers I attracted indicated that Luminous Designs was gaining recognition within the professional jewelry community as a source of exceptional handcrafted pieces. Among the most significant connections made at the trade show was with Rebecca Walsh, the purchasing director for Meridian Fine Arts, a chain of 8 upscale galleries specializing in contemporary American crafts. Rebecca was particularly impressed by my engagement ring designs and custom work capabilities, as her galleries served affluent customers seeking unique pieces for special occasions. She invited me to participate in Meridian's exclusive artisan program, which would provide dedicated display space, professional marketing support, and access to their established customer base of serious jewelry collectors. The Meridian Fine Arts partnership required a substantial increase in production capacity and inventory investment. The artisan program demanded consistent availability of signature pieces while maintaining flexibility for custom commissions and seasonal collections. This expansion necessitated hiring my first employee, Maria Santos, an experienced jewelry artisan who could assist with production work while maintaining the quality standards that distinguished my brand. Training Maria and integrating her capabilities into my production workflow required careful attention to technique transfer and quality control processes. I developed detailed documentation of my design methods, production standards, and finishing requirements to ensure consistency across all pieces regardless of who performed the actual fabrication work. This systematization process improved overall efficiency while preserving the handcrafted character and artistic integrity that customers valued in my jewelry. The business growth trajectory during this period was remarkable by any measure. Monthly revenue consistently exceeded $25,000, with peak periods during wedding season and holiday shopping reaching $40,000. The wholesale partnerships provided stable revenue streams while custom commissions delivered higher profit margins and creative satisfaction. The combination of systematic business development and artistic excellence was creating exactly the kind of sustainable enterprise I had envisioned when first committing to jewelry making as a career path. However, family perceptions of my business activities remained fundamentally skeptical despite increasingly undeniable evidence of success. During a spring family gathering where I mentioned the trade show results and new partnership opportunities, the response was a mixture of polite congratulations and continued concern about long-term sustainability. My parents acknowledged my entrepreneurial achievements while maintaining their preference for traditional career stability and benefits packages. David's reaction to my business growth was particularly revealing of his underlying assumptions about entrepreneurial risk and traditional career advantages. He questioned whether my current success reflected sustainable market demand or temporary trends that could reverse during economic downturns. He suggested that my business model remained vulnerable to competitive pressure from established jewelry companies and changing consumer preferences that could rapidly erode my market position. The conversation became more pointed when David compared my business revenue to his own career progression and compensation structure. He had recently purchased a house in an affluent Minneapolis suburb, financed through a substantial mortgage that reflected his confidence in his earning trajectory and professional stability. His new home represented the kind of major financial commitment that required predictable income and established credit history that traditional employment provided. David's mortgage approval process had proceeded smoothly based on his employment history, salary documentation, and corporate benefits package. The lender had evaluated his application according to conventional criteria that favored traditional employment over entrepreneurial income, regardless of actual revenue levels or business stability. This experience reinforced his belief that conventional career paths provided superior financial security and institutional recognition compared to entrepreneurial ventures. The irony of this situation was not lost on me, given that my business revenue had grown to exceed David's salary, while providing greater flexibility and creative fulfillment. However, the institutional structures of mortgage lending, insurance qualification, and professional recognition continued to favor traditional employment patterns over entrepreneurial achievement. This disconnect between actual financial capability and institutional acknowledgement represented one of the persistent challenges facing successful entrepreneurs in conventional business environments. The family dynamics surrounding career choices and financial planning reflected broader societal assumptions about security, risk, and appropriate pathways to prosperity. My parents had achieved comfortable middle-class stability through traditional employment and viewed similar paths as the most reliable approach for their children. David's career advancement within established financial services reinforced these assumptions while providing visible markers of success that entrepreneurial achievement sometimes lacked. My approach to these family discussions evolved toward providing minimal detail about business activities while focusing conversations on topics that generated less controversy. I recognized that demonstrating entrepreneurial success through results rather than arguments would ultimately prove more effective than attempting to convince skeptical family members through explanations of business strategy or market opportunities. This strategic restraint in sharing business information meant that my family remained largely unaware of the true scale and sophistication of Luminous Design's operations. They understood that I was generating reasonable income through jewelry sales but did not comprehend the systematic business development, strategic partnerships, and financial planning that supported sustainable growth and stability. The gap between their perception and my reality was substantial and growing larger as business success accelerated. The circumstances that would bridge this perception gap began developing in late summer when David encountered unexpected challenges with his mortgage lender regarding a property he and his wife Jennifer had identified for purchase. The house represented a significant upgrade from their current residence, located in an exclusive neighborhood with excellent schools and substantial appreciation potential. The purchase required a mortgage amount that approached the upper limits of conventional lending criteria, necessitating thorough financial documentation and lender approval processes. David's initial mortgage application had been pre-approved based on his employment and credit history, providing confidence that the purchase could proceed according to the planned timeline. However, during the final underwriting process, the lender identified concerns about his debt-to-income ratio and requested additional documentation regarding his financial stability and long-term earning potential. These requirements were not unusual for large mortgage applications but created delays and uncertainty about final approval. The situation became more complicated when David's employer, Midwestern Investment Partners, announced organizational restructuring that would eliminate several positions within his department. While David's position was not immediately threatened, the announcement created uncertainty about future compensation and advancement opportunities that concerned both him and his mortgage lender. The timing of this development, occurring during final mortgage underwriting, created additional complications for loan approval. The mortgage lender requested updated employment verification and additional financial documentation to address concerns about job security and income stability. These requirements extended the approval timeline and created stress about whether the home purchase could proceed according to the contract terms. David and Jennifer faced the possibility of losing their earnest money deposit and experiencing significant disappointment if the mortgage approval was ultimately denied. The additional documentation requirements revealed limitations in David's financial preparation for such a substantial purchase. While his salary supported the mortgage payments under normal circumstances, his savings and liquid assets were insufficient to address unexpected complications or provide alternative financing options. The mortgage represented a significant portion of his net worth and required maximum leverage of his borrowing capacity. As the mortgage approval process extended beyond the original timeline, David began exploring alternative financing options that might salvage the home purchase. These alternatives included seeking co-signers, adjusting loan terms, or finding additional sources of down payment funds that could improve his qualification profile. However, each option presented challenges related to availability, timing, or financial impact that complicated the decision-making process. The stress of the uncertain mortgage situation began affecting David's demeanor and family interactions. He became increasingly preoccupied with the approval process and expressed frustration about factors beyond his control that threatened his home purchase plans. The situation challenged his assumptions about career security and financial planning, while highlighting the vulnerability that accompanied high levels of financial leverage and debt obligation. The crisis deepened when David received formal notification that his mortgage application had been denied based on concerns about employment stability and debt service capacity. The lender's decision was final and could not be appealed through additional documentation or explanation. This outcome meant that David and Jennifer would lose their earnest money deposit and would need to restart their home search with different financing parameters or modified purchase criteria. The mortgage denial was devastating for David both financially and psychologically. The house had represented more than a residence upgrade, it symbolized career success and achievement of the lifestyle goals that had motivated his professional development. The denial challenged his confidence in his career trajectory and financial planning while creating immediate practical problems related to housing arrangements and financial commitments. The timing of the mortgage denial created additional complications. Because David and Jennifer had already committed to selling their current residence based on confidence in the new home purchase, the sale proceeds were designated for the down payment and closing costs of the larger house, leaving them with limited options for alternative housing arrangements if the purchase could not be completed through other means. In this moment of crisis, David faced a choice that would define both his immediate circumstances and his long-term relationship with family members whose career choices he had previously questioned. He could accept the mortgage denial and adjust his housing plans accordingly, or he could explore whether family resources might provide alternative solutions to the financing challenge he faced. The conversation where David first mentioned his mortgage difficulties occurred during a Sunday dinner at our parents' house, where he appeared unusually subdued and distracted. When asked about the status of his home purchase, he reluctantly explained the denial and its implications for his housing situation. The revelation surprised everyone at the table, as David had previously projected confidence about the purchase and had not mentioned potential complications. My parents immediately offered whatever assistance they could provide, but their savings and liquid assets were limited and would not meaningfully address the substantial financing gap that David faced. Their support was emotionally valuable, but financially insufficient to resolve the crisis. The family discussion revealed that none of us had anticipated such a situation or prepared contingency plans for addressing major financial emergencies. The moment when David's eyes turned toward me with a mixture of desperation and reluctant hope represented a fundamental shift in family dynamics that had been building for years. For the first time, my alternative career path and unconventional business development were being viewed not as sources of concern but as potential solutions to a crisis that traditional employment stability could not address. The question that David could not quite voice directly hung in the air as our family dinner conversation paused in recognition of the magnitude of his dilemma. The woman whose jewelry business had been dismissed as a hobby was suddenly being regarded as someone who might possess the financial resources and flexibility to provide assistance that conventional career success could not generate. The foundation for everything that would follow had been established through years of systematic business development, strategic financial planning, and quiet persistence in building something substantial while others focused on its apparent limitations. The crisis that threatened David's home purchase would become the catalyst for demonstrating the true value and security that entrepreneurial success could provide when circumstances demanded extraordinary financial capability. The week following, David's mortgage denial created a period of unprecedented tension within the Chen family household as the implications of his housing crisis became increasingly clear. The confident trajectory that had characterized David's career and financial planning had encountered an obstacle that challenged fundamental assumptions about security, stability, and the relationship between professional achievement and practical capability. The situation demanded solutions that extended beyond conventional approaches to mortgage qualification and home financing, forcing David to confront limitations in his financial resources that traditional employment had not prepared him to address. The immediate practical consequences of the mortgage denial required urgent attention to prevent cascading complications that could worsen David's overall financial position. He and Jennifer had committed to selling their current residence with a closing date that preceded their intended purchase of the larger home. The sale contract could not be easily modified without significant financial penalties, creating a timeline pressure that intensified the crisis beyond the disappointment of losing their preferred house. David spent the first 3 days after receiving the denial attempting to identify alternative financing solutions through conventional channels. He contacted multiple mortgage brokers and explored different loan products that might accommodate his employment situation and financial profile. However, the fundamental issues that had concerned the original lender remained problematic for alternative financing sources, and the compressed timeline limited his ability to address documentation requirements or improve his qualification credentials. The exploration of conventional alternatives revealed the extent to which David's financial planning had relied upon predictable employment income and institutional lending criteria that favored traditional career patterns. His approach to wealth building had emphasized retirement account contributions and employer benefit maximization rather than liquid asset accumulation that could provide flexibility during crisis situations. This strategy had been appropriate for stable career progression but proved inadequate for addressing unexpected financing requirements. Jennifer's emotional response to the crisis added additional complexity to an already difficult situation. She had invested considerable time and energy in planning their move to the new house, including coordination with contractors for renovations, research into neighborhood schools for their future family planning, and social preparations for hosting family gatherings in their expanded living space. The mortgage denial represented not only financial disappointment but also the disruption of lifestyle expectations and social commitments that had been built around the home purchase. The strain of the housing crisis began affecting David's professional performance and workplace relationships. His preoccupation with the financing complications distracted him from his portfolio management responsibilities and created tension with clients who expected consistent attention to their investment strategies. The irony of providing financial guidance to others while struggling to resolve his own financial crisis was not lost on David, though he maintained professional composure during client interactions despite his personal stress. By the end of the first week, David had exhausted conventional financing alternatives and faced the reality that resolving his housing situation would require unconventional approaches or assistance from sources he had not previously considered. The timeline pressure continued to build as the closing date for his current residence approached, creating urgency around identifying solutions that could prevent more severe financial consequences. The family dynamics during this period reflected the broader implications of David's crisis beyond its immediate financial impact. My parents were deeply concerned about his situation but possessed limited resources to provide meaningful assistance. Their retirement savings and available assets were insufficient to bridge the substantial financing gap that David faced, and they hesitated to compromise their own financial security for a solution that might not prove effective. My own response to David's crisis was carefully measured and strategic, reflecting both genuine concern for his welfare and recognition that this situation represented a potential turning point in family perceptions of entrepreneurial achievement versus traditional career security. I observed his struggle with empathy while understanding that any assistance I might provide would fundamentally alter the dynamic between us and validate business choices that had been subject to years of skepticism and dismissal. The complexity of my position during this period involved balancing family loyalty with the opportunity to demonstrate the practical value of entrepreneurial success. I possessed the financial resources to address David's crisis through my business achievements, but providing such assistance would require careful consideration of terms, expectations, and long-term implications for family relationships. The Situation demanded wisdom and strategic thinking that extended beyond simple financial capability. During the second week after the mortgage denial, David's attempts to maintain his confident demeanor began showing visible strain as alternative solutions continued to prove inadequate for resolving his financing requirements. The approaching deadline for his current home sale created increasing pressure to identify viable options or face the possibility of temporary housing arrangements that would complicate his professional obligations and family stability. The first direct acknowledgement of my potential role in resolving David's crisis occurred during a family dinner where the housing situation dominated conversation despite attempts to discuss other topics. My father mentioned that the family needed to explore all possible resources for assisting David, and his eyes momentarily turned toward me with an expression that suggested recognition of my business success and its potential relevance to the current emergency. David's own recognition of my potential assistance was more reluctant and conflicted. His professional identity and family position had been built around financial competence and traditional career achievement. Seeking help from the sister whose business choices he had questioned challenged his self-perception and required acknowledging that alternative approaches to wealth building might possess advantages that traditional employment could not provide. The conversation that evening remained indirect and carefully diplomatic, with family members discussing David's situation without explicitly proposing specific solutions or identifying particular sources of assistance. However, the underlying awareness that I might possess the financial capacity to address the crisis was apparent in the tone and direction of the discussion. The woman whose jewelry business had been dismissed as unrealistic was being quietly regarded as someone who might provide resources that conventional career success could not access. The internal conflict that David experienced during this period was evident in his demeanor and communication patterns. His usual confidence was replaced by uncertainty and frustration that extended beyond the immediate housing crisis to encompass broader questions about career choices, financial planning, and the assumptions that had guided his professional development. The situation challenged his worldview in ways that purely financial assistance could not address. The breakthrough moment that transformed the family dynamic occurred during the third week after the mortgage denial, when David's current home sale reached the final stages of completion and he faced the immediate reality of needing alternative housing arrangements within days. The timeline pressure had eliminated remaining possibilities for conventional solutions and created urgency that overcame his reluctance to seek assistance from sources he had previously viewed as unreliable or inadequate. The conversation where David first approached me directly about potential assistance took place in my parents' backyard during a family barbecue that had been planned weeks earlier, before the housing crisis had developed. The contrast between the celebratory atmosphere intended for the gathering and the underlying tension of David's unresolved situation created an awkward dynamic that influenced the timing and context of our discussion. David's approach was characteristically systematic and professional, reflecting his background in financial analysis and his need to maintain dignity despite the circumstances. He began by acknowledging the success of my business activities and expressing appreciation for the entrepreneurial achievements that he had previously viewed with skepticism. This acknowledgement represented a significant shift from his earlier dismissive attitude toward creative entrepreneurship and handcrafted business models. The specific request that David presented reflected careful consideration of his financial requirements and realistic assessment of his repayment capabilities. He explained that he needed access to approximately $240,000 to complete the home purchase, an amount that exceeded his liquid assets and conventional borrowing capacity but represented a manageable obligation given his salary and long-term earning potential. David proposed structuring the assistance as a formal loan with competitive interest rates, documented terms, and a repayment schedule that aligned with his cash flow projections. His approach demonstrated respect for my business judgment and acknowledgement that any assistance I provided represented a significant financial commitment that deserved professional treatment rather than casual family accommodation. The proposal also reflected David's understanding that his request represented more than a simple financial transaction. He acknowledged that his previous skepticism about my business choices had been misguided and expressed genuine appreciation for the strategic thinking and persistent effort that had enabled me to build substantial financial resources through entrepreneurial activity. This recognition represented a fundamental shift in his perspective on alternative career paths and wealth-building strategies. My response to David's request required careful consideration of multiple factors beyond simple financial capability. I possessed the liquid assets necessary to provide the assistance he requested, accumulated through years of systematic business development and conservative financial management. However, the decision involved complex considerations related to family relationships, business capital allocation, and the precedent that such assistance might establish for future family financial dynamics. The business implications of providing such substantial assistance required analysis of the impact on my working capital, growth investment plans, and financial flexibility for managing my own opportunities and challenges. The requested amount represented a significant portion of my available liquid assets, though not enough to threaten business operations or compromise strategic initiatives that I had planned for the coming year. More importantly, the situation represented an opportunity to demonstrate the practical value and genuine security that entrepreneurial success could provide during crisis situations. My ability to access substantial liquid assets quickly and privately contrasted sharply with the institutional lending processes that had failed to serve David's needs despite his traditional career credentials and employment stability. The emotional and psychological dimensions of providing assistance to David involved complex considerations about family dynamics, personal validation, and the long-term implications of dramatically altering our sibling relationship. The woman, whose business activities had been subject to years of gentle condescension, was being asked to provide financial resources that could resolve a crisis that traditional career achievement could not address. However, my motivation for considering David's request extended beyond personal validation or family obligation. The situation represented an opportunity to demonstrate values and principles that had guided my entrepreneurial development, including the importance of supporting family members during crisis periods and using financial success to create positive impact beyond individual achievement. The decision-making process that I employed reflected the systematic approach that had characterized my business development throughout my entrepreneurial journey. I analyzed the financial implications thoroughly, considered alternative structures for providing assistance, and evaluated the potential consequences of different approaches to David's crisis. This analysis demonstrated the strategic thinking capabilities that had enabled my business success and validated the sophistication of my approach to complex decision-making. After 3 days of careful consideration, I informed David that I was prepared to provide the assistance he had requested, structured according to terms that protected both his dignity and my business interests while addressing the urgency of his housing situation. The assistance would be provided as a formal loan with market-rate interest, documented terms, and a repayment schedule that accommodated his financial capabilities while ensuring appropriate return on my capital investment. The terms I proposed also included provisions for flexible repayment timing that could accommodate unexpected changes in David's employment or financial circumstances. This flexibility reflected my understanding that economic uncertainty could affect anyone regardless of career path or professional credentials, and that sustainable financial relationships required accommodation for changing circumstances rather than rigid adherence to original expectations. David's response to my offer reflected a mixture of relief, gratitude, and continued adjustment to the fundamental shift in our family dynamic that the crisis had precipitated. His acceptance of my assistance represented acknowledgement that entrepreneurial success could provide resources and flexibility that traditional employment relationships might not deliver during critical moments. The practical arrangements for transferring the funds and completing David's home purchase required coordination with real estate attorneys, title companies, and financial institutions that added complexity to an already compressed timeline. However, my experience with business financial management and banking relationships facilitated efficient completion of the necessary documentation and fund transfers within the required timeframe. The successful resolution of David's housing crisis through my financial assistance marked a permanent transformation in family perceptions of entrepreneurial achievement and traditional career security. The jewelry business that had been dismissed as a hobby had provided resources that conventional employment could not access, demonstrating practical advantages of alternative approaches to wealth building and career development. The implications of this demonstration extended beyond the immediate crisis to encompass broader questions about risk, security, and the relationship between professional choices and financial capability. The sister whose business activities had been viewed with skepticism had proven capable of providing assistance that validated years of strategic development and conservative financial management within an entrepreneurial framework. The immediate aftermath of providing financial assistance to David created a period of profound adjustment within the Chen family dynamic as the implications of my business capabilities became undeniably apparent to family members who had previously viewed entrepreneurial achievement through the lens of uncertainty and limitation. The successful resolution of David's housing crisis through resources generated by my jewelry business challenged fundamental assumptions about career security, wealth building, and the relationship between professional choices and practical financial capability that had influenced family perspectives for years. The wire transfer of $240,000 from my business account to facilitate David's home purchase represented more than a financial transaction. The transfer demonstrated liquid asset accumulation that exceeded the emergency financial capacity of traditional employment, revealing systematic wealth building that had occurred outside the awareness of family members who had focused on perceived limitations rather than documented achievements. The magnitude of available resources challenged assumptions about the sustainability and scalability of handcrafted business models that had informed previous family skepticism. The closing process for David's home purchase proceeded efficiently. Once adequate financing had been secured through my assistance, the real estate attorney handling the transaction expressed surprise at the speed with which alternative funding had been arranged, noting that conventional mortgage complications typically required weeks or months to resolve through traditional channels. The private financing solution I provided demonstrated advantages of entrepreneurial financial flexibility that institutional lending processes could not match during time-sensitive situations. David's emotional response to the successful completion of his home purchase reflected complex feelings that extended beyond gratitude for financial assistance to encompass recognition of the strategic business development that had enabled such support. His previous skepticism about creative entrepreneurship had been replaced by acknowledgement that alternative approaches to wealth building could provide resources and flexibility that traditional career paths might not deliver during critical periods. This recognition required significant adjustment to his professional identity and assumptions about financial security. The transformation in David's perspective became evident during our first extended conversation following the closing, when he expressed genuine curiosity about the business strategies and financial management approaches that had enabled me to accumulate substantial liquid assets while maintaining growth investments in my jewelry operations. His questions reflected professional interest in understanding entrepreneurial financial planning rather than the dismissive skepticism that had characterized his previous responses to discussions of my business activities. David's newfound appreciation for my business achievements extended to recognition of the strategic thinking and systematic development that had characterized my approach to entrepreneurial growth. He acknowledged that his previous assessment of handcrafted business limitations had been based on incomplete understanding of modern e-commerce capabilities, wholesale market opportunities, and the scalability potential that existed within specialized artisan industries. This acknowledgement represented a fundamental shift from viewing my business as a temporary hobby to recognizing it as a sophisticated enterprise with sustainable competitive advantages. The change in David's attitude toward my entrepreneurial choices influenced broader family discussions about career paths, financial planning, and the relationship between risk and security in modern professional environments. My parents began asking more detailed questions about my business operations, growth strategies, and long-term vision for Luminous Designs. These conversations revealed genuine interest in understanding entrepreneurial success rather than polite tolerance for activities they viewed as divergent from conventional career development. My mother's response to the demonstration of my financial capabilities reflected particular surprise at the magnitude of resources I had accumulated through systematic business development. Her previous concerns about long-term security and benefits associated with traditional employment were replaced by recognition that entrepreneurial success could provide financial stability and flexibility that exceeded corporate employment advantages. This recognition challenged her immigrant experience of prioritizing employment security over entrepreneurial risk. My father's professional background in engineering provided a framework for understanding the systematic approach I had employed in developing my jewelry business. He recognized parallels between engineering problem-solving methodologies and the strategic thinking I had applied to market development, production optimization, and financial management. His appreciation for my business achievements reflected recognition of technical competence and analytical capabilities that traditional academic credentials had not fully revealed. The broader implications of my financial assistance to David extended beyond immediate family relationships to encompass professional recognition within the local business community. Word of my ability to provide substantial private financing spread through networks of real estate professionals, attorneys, and financial advisors who had been involved in resolving David's housing crisis. This recognition positioned me as a serious entrepreneur with significant financial resources rather than a hobbyist pursuing creative interests. The professional recognition generated inquiries from other business owners and entrepreneurs seeking private financing for expansion projects, equipment purchases, and working capital requirements. These inquiries revealed opportunities for investment and lending activities that could diversify my revenue streams while leveraging the financial resources I had accumulated through jewelry sales. The transition from business owner to potential Investor represented an unexpected evolution of my entrepreneurial trajectory. The investment opportunities that emerged required careful evaluation of business models, management capabilities, and market potential that extended beyond my jewelry industry expertise. I began studying investment analysis methodologies, due diligence processes, and risk assessment frameworks that could inform strategic decisions about capital allocation beyond my primary business operations. This learning process demonstrated the continuous education requirements that accompanied entrepreneurial success and wealth accumulation. The expansion into investment activities also necessitated developing relationships with attorneys, accountants, and financial advisors who specialized in private lending and investment management. These professional relationships provided access to deal flow, legal frameworks, and tax optimization strategies that enhanced my ability to evaluate and structure investment opportunities effectively. The development of this professional network represented another dimension of business growth that had emerged from my original jewelry-making activities. The transformation in family perceptions of my entrepreneurial achievements created opportunities for deeper discussions about business strategy, market development, and the principles that had guided my approach to building luminous designs. These conversations revealed the systematic methodology I had employed in developing competitive advantages, building customer relationships, and maintaining quality standards that supported premium pricing and customer loyalty. My parents expressed particular interest in understanding how I had identified market opportunities within the handcrafted jewelry industry and developed strategies for competing effectively against established retailers and mass-market alternatives. Their questions reflected recognition that successful entrepreneurship required sophisticated analysis and strategic thinking rather than artistic talent alone. This understanding represented a significant evolution from their previous assumption that creative businesses were primarily hobby activities rather than serious professional enterprises. The discussion of my business development strategies also revealed the research and planning that had informed my decisions about product positioning, pricing strategies, and distribution channels. My family began to understand that the success they had witnessed resulted from systematic market analysis, competitive research, and strategic implementation rather than fortunate circumstances or temporary market conditions. This recognition validated the professional competence and business acumen that had enabled sustainable growth and financial accumulation. The demonstration of my financial capabilities through assistance to David also influenced my own confidence and vision for future business development. The recognition that I had built something substantial enough to address major family financial crises confirmed that my entrepreneurial trajectory was progressing according to strategic objectives rather than merely generating acceptable income levels. This confirmation provided motivation for pursuing more ambitious growth opportunities and expansion initiatives. The strategic planning process for the next phase of business development reflected increased confidence in my capabilities and recognition of the opportunities that financial success had created. I began exploring possibilities for establishing multiple revenue streams through wholesale expansion, investment activities, and strategic partnerships that could accelerate growth while diversifying risk across different market segments and business models. The wholesale expansion opportunities included development of additional product lines that could leverage my design capabilities and production infrastructure while addressing different customer segments and price points. These expansion possibilities required investment in new equipment, materials inventory, and marketing initiatives that would test my business development skills in unfamiliar market territories. The challenge of managing multiple product lines while maintaining quality and brand consistency represented a significant evolution of my entrepreneurial responsibilities. The investment activities that had emerged from my assistance to David required developing expertise in evaluating business models, assessing management capabilities, and structuring deals that balanced risk and return considerations appropriately. These activities represented a natural evolution of my financial capabilities while providing opportunities for portfolio diversification and passive income generation that could support continued growth of my primary jewelry business. The strategic partnerships under consideration included relationships with other artisans, retail organizations, and marketing agencies that could accelerate market penetration while providing access to capabilities and resources that would be expensive to develop internally. These partnerships required careful evaluation of cultural compatibility, strategic alignment, and value creation potential that extended beyond simple revenue-sharing arrangements. The evolution of my business from individual jewelry creation to diversified entrepreneurial activities reflected the natural progression that occurred when systematic development combined with strategic vision and disciplined execution. The foundation I had built through years of focused effort on quality, customer service, and business development was supporting expansion opportunities that exceeded my original expectations while maintaining alignment with my values and professional objectives. The family transformation that resulted from my assistance to David established a new dynamic where my business judgment and financial capabilities were recognized and respected rather than questioned and dismissed. The jewelry business that had been viewed as a charming hobby was now understood as a sophisticated enterprise with substantial financial resources and growth potential. This recognition created opportunities for family collaboration and mutual support that had not existed when my entrepreneurial choices were viewed with skepticism. The change in family relationships also influenced my approach to sharing information about business activities and future plans. The previous reluctance to discuss achievements and challenges gave way to open communication about strategic decisions, growth opportunities, and the lessons learned through entrepreneurial experience. These discussions enriched family relationships, while providing emotional support and practical advice that enhanced my business development capabilities. The demonstration of practical value through financial assistance to David represented validation of the entrepreneurial principles and strategic approaches that had guided my business development throughout the challenging early years when family support had been limited by skepticism and misunderstanding. The transformation of family perceptions from dismissive concern to genuine respect and appreciation confirmed that persistence, strategic thinking, and commitment to excellence could overcome initial disadvantages while building something substantial and meaningful. The stage was established for continued business growth and family collaboration that would leverage the recognition and resources I had developed while maintaining focus on the quality and customer service standards that had enabled initial success. The quiet confidence I had maintained during years of family skepticism had been replaced by acknowledged expertise and demonstrated capability that provided foundation for pursuing increasingly ambitious objectives with family understanding and support. The 6 months following my financial assistance to David marked a period of unprecedented strategic development that transformed Luminous Designs from a successful regional jewelry business into a diversified entrepreneurial enterprise with multiple revenue streams and expanding market influence. The recognition of my financial capabilities within both family and professional circles created opportunities for business expansion that extended far beyond the original scope of handcrafted jewelry creation, requiring sophisticated strategic planning and resource allocation that tested my entrepreneurial skills in unfamiliar territories. The foundation for this expansion phase had been established through years of systematic business development that prioritized financial stability and growth capital accumulation over immediate profit maximization. The conservative financial management approach that had enabled me to provide substantial assistance to David during his crisis also positioned Luminous Designs for aggressive growth initiatives that could capitalize on market opportunities and strategic partnerships that required significant upfront investment. This financial positioning represented a competitive advantage that many entrepreneurs lacked during critical expansion periods. The first major expansion initiative involved establishing a dedicated manufacturing facility that could support increased production volume while maintaining the quality standards and handcrafted character that distinguished my jewelry from mass-market alternatives. The decision to invest in expanded production capabilities reflected confidence in continued market demand and strategic vision for scaling operations beyond the capacity limitations of my existing workshop environment. The facility development process required comprehensive planning that encompassed location selection, equipment procurement, workflow design, and regulatory compliance considerations that extended well beyond my previous business experience. I engaged professional consultants specializing in manufacturing facility design to ensure optimal configuration of workspace, ventilation systems, security measures, and production flow patterns that would maximize efficiency while maintaining appropriate safety standards for jewelry manufacturing operations. The location selection process involved evaluating multiple properties within the Minneapolis metropolitan area that could accommodate current production requirements while providing expansion capacity for future growth. The chosen facility represented a former textile manufacturing space that offered high ceilings, abundant natural light, and infrastructure capabilities that could be adapted efficiently for jewelry production with moderate renovation investment. The equipment procurement process required research into advanced jewelry making tools and systems that could enhance production efficiency while preserving the handcrafted quality that customers valued in my products. The investment included professional-grade metalworking equipment, precision measurement instruments, and specialized finishing systems that enabled more sophisticated techniques and improved consistency across production runs. The facility establishment process also necessitated hiring additional skilled artisans who could contribute to expanded production capacity while maintaining alignment with my quality standards and design philosophy. The recruitment process involved identifying candidates with appropriate technical skills, artistic sensibility, and cultural compatibility that would support collaborative work environments and continued innovation in product development. Maria Santos, who had been my first employee during the initial expansion phase, assumed responsibility for training new team members and establishing production protocols that ensured consistency and quality across all manufacturing activities. Her development into a production manager role demonstrated the growth opportunities that successful business expansion could provide for dedicated employees while addressing my need for operational leadership that could support continued scaling. The team development process emphasized cross-training and skill development that enabled flexibility in production scheduling while building capabilities for handling increasingly complex custom projects and specialized techniques. The investment in employee development reflected recognition that human capital represented the most critical factor in maintaining competitive advantages in handcrafted jewelry markets where technical expertise and artistic vision determined product differentiation and customer satisfaction. The expanded production capabilities enabled me to pursue wholesale opportunities with larger retail partners who required consistent inventory availability and reliable delivery schedules that my previous capacity limitations had prevented me from accommodating. These opportunities included partnerships with regional department store chains and national specialty retailers who were seeking unique American-made jewelry lines that could differentiate their merchandise offerings from imported mass-market alternatives. The wholesale expansion required developing more sophisticated inventory management and production planning systems that could coordinate custom orders, retail inventory requirements, and seasonal demand fluctuations while maintaining optimal cash flow and working capital utilization. These operational challenges demanded business management skills that extended beyond jewelry making expertise to encompass supply chain coordination, financial planning, and customer relationship management at enterprise scale. The success of the expanded wholesale operations generated revenue growth that consistently exceeded 30% quarterly increases throughout the first year of facility operations. This growth trajectory validated the strategic investment in production capabilities while demonstrating market demand for handcrafted jewelry that combined artistic excellence with production reliability and professional business practices. The financial success of the expansion initiatives created opportunities for diversification into related business activities that could leverage my accumulated expertise and market relationships while reducing dependence on jewelry sales as the primary revenue source. These diversification opportunities included private label manufacturing for other jewelry designers, consulting services for aspiring artisan entrepreneurs, and investment activities that could generate passive income streams while supporting continued business development. The private label manufacturing opportunity emerged through inquiries from established jewelry designers who possessed strong market presence and customer relationships but lacked production capabilities for executing their design concepts at appropriate quality levels. These partnerships enabled me to utilize excess production capacity while generating revenue from manufacturing services that carried lower marketing costs and reduced customer acquisition requirements compared to developing original retail markets. The consulting services opportunity developed from recognition within the artisan community that I had successfully navigated the transition from individual craftsperson to professional business owner through systematic approaches that could be replicated by other creative entrepreneurs. The demand for business development guidance among artisans reflected widespread challenges in translating artistic skills into sustainable enterprises that could provide adequate financial security and professional satisfaction. The consulting practice focused on strategic planning, financial management, and market development strategies that addressed common challenges faced by creative entrepreneurs who possessed excellent technical skills but limited business experience. These services generated consulting fees while building relationships within the artisan community that created referral opportunities and collaborative partnerships that enhanced my industry presence and market influence. The investment activities that had emerged from my assistance to David evolved into a systematic approach to private lending and equity participation that provided portfolio diversification while supporting other entrepreneurs who faced financing challenges similar to those David had encountered. These activities required developing expertise in business valuation, risk assessment, and deal structuring that extended my financial capabilities beyond jewelry business management. The investment portfolio included positions in small manufacturing companies, retail operations, and service businesses that demonstrated growth potential and management capabilities that aligned with my risk tolerance and return expectations. The diversification across multiple industries and business models provided protection against market volatility while generating income streams that supported continued expansion of my primary jewelry operations. The strategic development of Multiple business activities required implementing more sophisticated organizational structures and management systems that could coordinate diverse operations while maintaining appropriate oversight and quality control across all activities. This organizational evolution included establishing separate legal entities for different business lines, developing comprehensive financial reporting systems, and creating management protocols that enabled effective delegation while preserving strategic control over critical decisions. The professional development requirements associated with managing diversified business operations necessitated continuous learning and skill development that extended far beyond my original jewelry-making expertise. I pursued advanced training in financial analysis, strategic planning, and organizational management through professional development programs that enhanced my capabilities for handling increasingly complex business challenges and opportunities. The network development that accompanied business expansion provided access to professional advisors, strategic partners, and industry experts who contributed guidance and resources that accelerated growth while reducing implementation risks. These relationships included attorneys specializing in business transactions, accountants with expertise in multi-entity financial management, and consultants with experience in scaling manufacturing operations and managing organizational growth. The transformation of my role from jewelry artisan to diversified entrepreneur required adjusting my daily activities and strategic focus to accommodate broader responsibilities while maintaining personal involvement in the creative and quality control aspects of jewelry production that remained central to my professional identity and customer value proposition. This balance between hands-on craftsmanship and executive leadership represented one of the most challenging aspects of business expansion. The family recognition of my business achievements continued to evolve as the scale and complexity of my operations became increasingly apparent through facility tours, employee interactions, and discussions of strategic initiatives that demonstrated sophisticated business planning and execution capabilities. My parents expressed pride in my entrepreneurial accomplishments while acknowledging that my business activities had exceeded their initial expectations and understanding of creative industry potential. David's relationship with me underwent particular transformation as he observed the systematic approach I employed in business development and recognized parallels between strategic thinking required for successful entrepreneurship and analytical skills valued in financial services. His professional background enabled him to appreciate the sophistication of my business planning and the financial management capabilities that had enabled rapid expansion while maintaining stability and profitability. The ongoing loan arrangement between David and me provided regular opportunities for discussions about business strategy, market development, and entrepreneurial challenges that enriched our sibling relationship while demonstrating mutual respect for different approaches to career development and financial success. These conversations contributed to David's understanding of entrepreneurial opportunities while providing me with perspectives on traditional business evaluation methods and risk assessment frameworks. The broader implications of my business success extended beyond family relationships to encompass community recognition and industry influence that positioned me as a spokesperson for artisan entrepreneurship and an advocate for policies that supported small business development and creative industry growth. This public profile created opportunities for speaking engagements, media interviews, and advisory roles that enhanced my professional reputation while contributing to broader entrepreneurial education and advocacy efforts. The transformation from dismissed family member pursuing questionable career choices to recognized business leader and community influencer represented validation of the principles and strategies that had guided my entrepreneurial development throughout years of skepticism and limited external support. The demonstration that systematic effort, strategic thinking, and commitment to excellence could create substantial business value challenged assumptions about appropriate career paths while inspiring other creative professionals to pursue entrepreneurial opportunities. The continued growth trajectory of my diversified business operations established foundation for pursuing increasingly ambitious strategic initiatives that could leverage accumulated resources and capabilities while creating additional value for customers, employees, and community stakeholders. The quiet confidence that had sustained me through initial skepticism had been replaced by demonstrated competence and acknowledged expertise that provided platform for contributing to broader entrepreneurial education and small business advocacy that extended impact beyond individual achievement. The stage was established for continued expansion and influence that would demonstrate the full potential of systematic entrepreneurial development while maintaining commitment to quality, innovation, and community contribution that had characterized my approach from the beginning of my jewelry-making journey through the evolution into diversified business leadership and community recognition. 2 years after providing financial assistance to David during his housing crisis, the complete transformation of family dynamics and professional relationships had established a new foundation for understanding entrepreneurial achievement and its relationship to traditional measures of success and security. The evolution of Luminous Designs from a dismissed side business into a diversified enterprise generating annual revenues exceeding $800,000 represented more than personal vindication of strategic choices made despite skepticism and misunderstanding. The transformation demonstrated fundamental principles about persistence, strategic thinking, and the capacity for extraordinary achievement when systematic effort combines with unwavering commitment to excellence. The anniversary of David's mortgage crisis provided an opportunity for reflection on the profound changes that had occurred within the Chen family dynamic over the preceding 24 months. The brother who had once questioned the sustainability and scalability of handcrafted business models had become one of my most trusted advisors on financial strategy and business development. His professional expertise in portfolio management and risk assessment provided valuable perspectives on investment decisions and expansion planning that enhanced my strategic decision-making while strengthening our personal relationship through collaborative problem-solving. The formal loan agreement that had structured my financial assistance to David had been fulfilled ahead of schedule, with interest payments that reflected market rates and demonstrated my commitment to maintaining professional standards in family financial relationships. The successful completion of this arrangement validated the sustainable financial foundation that I had built through systematic business development while establishing precedent for future collaborative opportunities that could benefit multiple family members through strategic resource sharing. David's understanding of entrepreneurial opportunities had evolved significantly through observing the systematic approach I employed in business expansion and diversification. His recognition of the analytical rigor and strategic planning required for successful entrepreneurship challenged his previous assumptions about the relationship between business risk and career security. This transformation in perspective influenced his own professional development as he began exploring opportunities for combining his financial services expertise with entrepreneurial ventures that could provide greater autonomy and income potential. The broader family recognition of my business achievements had created opportunities for collaboration that extended beyond financial assistance to encompass strategic planning, professional networking, and knowledge sharing that benefited all family members. My parents had become active advocates for my business success within their professional and social networks, generating referrals and recommendations that contributed to continued growth while demonstrating pride in entrepreneurial accomplishments. They had initially viewed with concern and skepticism my mother's transformation from worried parent questioning long-term security to enthusiastic supporter of creative entrepreneurship reflected her recognition that alternative career paths could provide financial stability and professional fulfillment that exceeded traditional employment advantages. Her immigrant experience of prioritizing institutional security over individual initiative had been expanded to include appreciation for entrepreneurial opportunity and the potential for building substantial wealth through systematic business development and strategic risk-taking. My father's professional background in engineering enabled him to appreciate the technical precision and systematic methodology that characterized my approach to business development and operational management. His recognition of the analytical capabilities required for successful entrepreneurship validated the intellectual rigor that entrepreneurial achievement demanded while challenging assumptions about the relationship between formal credentials and practical competence in complex business environments. The community recognition that had accompanied my business expansion provided platforms for sharing entrepreneurial experience and advocating for policies that supported small business development and creative industry growth. These opportunities included participation in regional economic development initiatives, advisory roles with entrepreneurship education programs, and speaking engagements at business conferences where I presented case studies of successful artisan business development and scaling strategies. The educational initiatives that emerged from my community involvement included development of curriculum materials for entrepreneurship programs at local colleges and universities. These materials emphasized practical business development strategies, financial management approaches, and market analysis techniques that addressed common challenges faced by creative entrepreneurs seeking to transition from individual artisans to professional business owners. The curriculum development process drew upon my accumulated experience while contributing to broader entrepreneurial education that could benefit future generations of creative professionals. The mentorship relationships that developed through my community involvement provided opportunities for supporting other entrepreneurs who faced challenges similar to those I had encountered during the early stages of business development. These relationships included formal advisory roles with startup incubators and informal guidance for individual entrepreneurs seeking assistance with specific business development challenges. The mentorship activities generated personal satisfaction, while building networks of professional relationships that enhanced my industry influence and market presence. The industry recognition that accompanied my business success included awards from craft industry associations, features in trade publications, and invitations to serve on advisory boards for organizations supporting artisan entrepreneurship. These honors validated the strategic approach I had employed in building competitive advantages while demonstrating that systematic business development could achieve recognition within professional communities that valued both artistic excellence and commercial success. The media attention that resulted from my business achievements provided platforms for discussing entrepreneurial principles and challenging assumptions about traditional career paths versus creative entrepreneurship. These opportunities included interviews with business publications, participation in podcast discussions about small business development, and contributions to articles about successful women entrepreneurs in manufacturing industries. The media exposure enhanced my professional profile while contributing to broader conversations about entrepreneurial opportunity and economic development. The strategic partnerships that had evolved through my business expansion included collaborative relationships with other successful entrepreneurs who possessed complementary skills and market access that could accelerate growth while sharing resources and reducing individual risk exposure. These partnerships included joint ventures for product development, shared marketing initiatives for reaching new customer segments, and collaborative approaches to international market expansion that leveraged combined capabilities and resources. The international expansion opportunities that emerged through strategic partnerships included distribution agreements for European and Asian markets where demand for American artisan jewelry provided growth potential that domestic markets alone could not support. These opportunities required developing understanding of international trade regulations, currency exchange considerations, and cultural differences in design preferences that expanded my business sophistication while creating additional revenue streams that enhanced financial stability and growth potential. The technological innovations that supported business expansion included implementation of advanced customer relationship management systems, automated production planning software, and e-commerce platforms that enhanced operational efficiency while improving customer service capabilities. These technological investments reflected recognition that sustainable competitive advantages in modern business environments required continuous adaptation to evolving customer expectations and operational requirements. The organizational development that accompanied business growth included establishment of formal management structures, employee development programs, and performance measurement systems that enabled effective coordination of diverse activities, while maintaining quality standards and cultural alignment across all business operations. The transition from individual entrepreneur to organizational leader required developing management skills and delegation capabilities that preserved strategic control while enabling specialized expertise to contribute effectively to continued growth. The financial management sophistication that supported diversified business operations included implementation of comprehensive budgeting systems, cash flow forecasting models, and investment analysis frameworks that enabled strategic resource allocation while maintaining appropriate liquidity and risk management protocols. These financial management capabilities demonstrated the analytical rigor and strategic planning that characterized successful entrepreneurial development while providing foundation for continued expansion and diversification. The personal development that accompanied professional growth included continuous learning initiatives focused on advanced business strategy, leadership development, and industry expertise that enhanced my capabilities for addressing increasingly complex challenges while maintaining commitment to innovation and excellence. This personal investment reflected recognition that entrepreneurial success required continuous adaptation and skill development that extended far beyond initial technical expertise in jewelry making. The work-life integration that emerged through business maturation enabled me to maintain personal interests and relationships while managing diverse professional responsibilities through effective delegation and strategic priorities that preserved energy for activities that provided greatest value and satisfaction. This integration demonstrated that entrepreneurial success could support lifestyle objectives while creating meaningful impact through business achievement and community contribution. The family relationships that had been transformed through recognition of my business achievements continued to evolve as collaborative partnerships that leveraged diverse skills and perspectives for mutual benefit while maintaining respect for different approaches to career development and financial planning. The foundation of trust and mutual respect that had replaced previous skepticism created opportunities for continued collaboration and support that enhanced both individual achievement and family cohesion. The reflection on this complete transformation from dismissed family member pursuing questionable career choices to recognized business leader and community influencer revealed the power of systematic persistence combined with strategic thinking and unwavering commitment to quality and excellence. The journey demonstrated that extraordinary achievement remained accessible to individuals willing to maintain long-term vision while executing consistent daily actions that accumulated into substantial competitive advantages and financial capabilities. The lessons learned through this entrepreneurial journey provided guidance for continuing growth and expansion while maintaining alignment with values and principles that had enabled initial success. These lessons emphasize the importance of building strong foundations before pursuing rapid expansion, maintaining quality standards during periods of growth pressure, and preserving personal relationships that provided emotional support and practical guidance during challenging periods. The future vision that emerged from demonstrated success included continued expansion of business operations, increased community involvement and entrepreneurial advocacy, and exploration of opportunities for creating broader impact through education, mentorship, and strategic investments that could support other entrepreneurs while generating sustainable returns. This vision reflected confidence in accumulated capabilities while maintaining commitment to contribution and service that extended beyond individual achievement. The legacy that was being established through systematic entrepreneurial development included demonstration that alternative career paths could provide financial security and professional fulfillment that exceeded traditional employment while creating value for customers, employees, and community stakeholders through innovation, quality, and commitment to excellence. This legacy challenged assumptions about appropriate career choices while inspiring others to pursue entrepreneurial opportunities that aligned with their skills, interests, and values. The ultimate validation of this entrepreneurial journey remained the transformed family dynamic where my business achievements were recognized and celebrated rather than questioned and dismissed, creating foundation for continued collaboration and mutual support that honored different approaches to success while acknowledging the extraordinary potential that existed within systematic effort, strategic thinking, and unwavering persistence. In pursuit of meaningful objectives. The third year following David's mortgage crisis marked the beginning of a transformative period where my role evolved from successful entrepreneur to catalyst for broader entrepreneurial development within the Minneapolis business community. The recognition of my business achievements and strategic capabilities had created opportunities for contributing to regional economic development initiatives that extended far beyond individual company growth to encompass systematic support for emerging entrepreneurs and creative industry expansion throughout the metropolitan area. The evolution of this broader influence began with an invitation to join the Minneapolis Economic Development Authority's Small Business Advisory Council, a position that provided direct input on policy decisions affecting entrepreneurial ventures and access to regional business development resources. This appointment reflected recognition of my expertise in scaling artisan businesses while maintaining quality standards and financial stability during periods of rapid growth. The advisory role enabled me to advocate for policies that addressed common challenges faced by creative entrepreneurs while contributing strategic guidance for initiatives designed to strengthen the regional small business ecosystem. The Advisory Council participation revealed the extensive scope of entrepreneurial challenges that extended beyond individual business development to encompass systemic issues related to access to capital, regulatory compliance, market development, and workforce training. These challenges were particularly pronounced for creative industries where traditional business support resources often failed to address the unique requirements of artisan entrepreneurs who combined artistic vision with commercial objectives. The gap between available resources and actual entrepreneurial needs represented an opportunity for developing specialized support programs that could accelerate creative business development while strengthening regional economic diversity. The recognition of these systemic challenges inspired me to propose the development of a comprehensive entrepreneurial incubator specifically designed for artisan businesses and creative entrepreneurs. This proposal outlined a facility that would provide affordable workspace, shared equipment access, business development training, and mentorship programs tailored to the unique requirements of creative enterprises. The incubator concept addressed multiple barriers that prevented talented artisans from transitioning to sustainable business ownership while creating concentration of creative enterprises that could support collaborative innovation and market development. The incubator proposal required extensive research and planning to develop a viable financial model that could provide affordable services while maintaining operational sustainability. This analysis included evaluation of potential revenue sources through membership fees, workshop programs, facility rentals, and strategic partnerships with educational institutions and economic development organizations. The financial planning process demonstrated the analytical rigor and strategic thinking that had characterized my business development while applying these capabilities to broader community benefit rather than individual enterprise growth. The development of the incubator concept also required building coalitions of support among local government officials, business leaders, and community organizations who could provide funding, regulatory approval, and strategic partnerships necessary for successful implementation. This coalition-building process involved presentations to city council committees, meetings with economic development directors, and discussions with foundation executives who managed grant programs supporting entrepreneurial development and creative industry expansion. The strategic partnerships that emerged through the incubator development process included relationships with the Minneapolis Community and Technical College, which provided curriculum development expertise and access to business education resources. The partnership enabled integration of formal business training with practical mentorship and workspace access that addressed comprehensive development needs of aspiring creative entrepreneurs. This educational component distinguished the proposed incubator from existing programs that focused primarily on technology startups rather than artisan businesses with different development requirements and success metrics. The University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management became another crucial partner through their entrepreneurship program, which provided access to graduate student consultants who could assist incubator participants with business plan development, market analysis, and financial planning. This partnership created mutual benefits by providing practical experience for business students while delivering professional consulting services to emerging entrepreneurs who might not otherwise afford such assistance. The academic collaboration enhanced the credibility and educational value of the incubator program while building sustainable resource networks for ongoing support. The corporate partnerships that supported the incubator development included relationships with established manufacturers and retailers who could provide mentorship, supply chain access, and market entry opportunities for graduating entrepreneurs. These partnerships recognized the mutual benefits of supporting emerging creative businesses that could become suppliers, collaborators, or acquisition targets for larger enterprises seeking innovation and market differentiation. The corporate involvement also provided access to professional expertise in areas such as legal compliance, intellectual property protection, and distribution strategy that enhanced the comprehensive support available through the incubator program. The facility development process for the incubator required identification and renovation of an appropriate space that could accommodate diverse creative enterprises while providing shared resources that individual entrepreneurs could not afford independently. The selected location was a former manufacturing facility in the Northeast Arts District that offered high ceilings, abundant natural light, and infrastructure capabilities that could support various types of creative production with moderate renovation investment. The facility design emphasized flexible workspace configurations that could accommodate changing needs while providing specialized areas for equipment that required specific ventilation, electrical, or safety requirements. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss any upload from us.